And boy, words can bring us down, can't they? And they can also build us up. That's the beauty. Our words are so important. They matter. At a minimum, our words are those sounds and symbols that we use to convey our thoughts and our feelings. Through words, we're reaching out to other people. That's what we do. That's how we do it. And it's one of the ways that we fill that innate need for connection with one another. We connect primarily through our words and through touch. And unfortunately, in our society, less touch than words, right? That means that our words truly are paramount to that connection, to that communication with others. So our word is truly a force. It's truly a force because it's our power to create, and create on ever so many levels. Words assist us in giving meaning to our life. They enable us not only to describe, they enable us to create our reality. I mean, you think about that, right? It's our thoughts that we put into action. So we're creating that way. Our words are also used to share and express our experiences and share those with other people. We use our speech. When we use our speech, we're actually communicating our inner voice, how we feel inside, how we see the world. It's the tool that we use most often, of course, to get our point across to somebody, to share those intimate feelings. Language has an incredible, powerful effect, not just on us, on anyone that we're communicating with. It's words that we use to describe experiences, and they help us form our opinions about everything. They help give meaning and bring those experiences into our conscious reality. And when we name those experiences with words, it absolutely does magnify them, gives them a life of their own. And in turn, that's how they actually become truly our reality. Language is a very powerful factor in our experience of the world. If you want to communicate your thoughts and your feelings, your needs and desires clearly and effectively, it's imperative to pay attention to the words that you use and how you use them. Because just as is true with our belief system, we want to be mindful of the words and phrases that we allow in our thoughts, and more importantly, the words that come out of our mouth. That way we create a language for ourselves reflecting our highest good, our highest self. Gandhi said this: your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And I can't think of any better reason to use our speech more carefully, more thoughtfully, and more lovingly. Full circle, right? It's a beautiful cycle. Don Miguel Ruiz, in his book, The Four Agreements, says our word is a double-edged sword. And he says that because we can either create a beautiful dream, or we can use those words to destroy everything around us. Through our word, our intent is manifesting. What we dream, what we feel, and what we really are is all manifested through our words, through our speech. And so then we come to that point of choice again. We can use our energy in direction of truth and love, or we can use our words to curse, to blame, to find fault, to destroy. Our word is the most powerful gift that we have as humans because we use it all the time, every day. And it can be misused, and it is misused often. Words have been used to create hate. Hate between races, hate between people, between families, and between nations. And we're all fully aware of that because we live in the world. Misuse of our word is how we pull each other down, how we criticize, how we keep each other in that state of fear, that state of doubt. Now them, you know, have some great advice. They say this: always keep your words soft and sweet in case you have to eat them. Can you relate to that one? I thought that was beautiful. Now, that brings me to one of the most destructive ways that we use our language. Anyone know what that is? Gossip, right? It's hurtful for oh so many reasons. It's not just hurting the other person. Guess what? Hurts you too. Unfortunately, it's used a lot. It takes a very determined, conscious effort to stay out of that space, to not get caught up when somebody's going, well, you know what, right? I don't want to know what. We need to learn to really say that. We want to be mindful about learning to focus instead on the positive, on the good, on the wonderful aspects of this particular human being or situation. And we do that starting with our speech. In our daily conversations, we talk about people all the time, right? Perfectly normal. The key is to come from a place of love, from a place of compassion, not a place of belittling somebody to make yourself feel a little bit better. Big difference there. Gossip gives us that false sense of security, like we're connecting with someone because they feel the same way we do, so we get going on that. In reality, we're inviting whomever we gossip to join us in that fear-based perception of life. Because the truth is, misery does love company, doesn't it? And generally, as people gossip, it's about something obviously very unkind. So I invite you to remember this truth. It is impossible to be judgmental towards somebody without owning some of that stuff yourself. Right? What I see in you, I have in me. And that goes for the great stuff too, right? You're a beautiful, kind, loving human being. Hey, I get to own that one too. However, if I see you as mean-spirited, I need to look at self, because that is about me as well. We cannot gossip about a person and maintain those feelings of unconditional love at the same time. It's not possible. Take a moment during the week to kind of check yourself. Be mindful of how many times you might find yourself gossiping about a person because you're trying to gain that support of somebody for your own personal agenda, your own personal point of view. Probably, likely, we've all done it. I know I have. You know, if you're angry at your spouse, for instance, and you find a friend and you say, isn't this awful? That's gossip, right? And this person, of course, is going to support you. And you know it going in. But that's gossip. I would never do that to my husband. Why are they laughing, Gregory? As we begin to see the force, the power of our words, and clearly understand how it reflects on us, instead of finding cause for complaint in things and people, we begin to seek out that truth and that beauty in all things. Shifting our focus, right? Shifting our perception. Last week I spoke briefly about the 14 mindfulness trainings from that order of inner being that Thich Nhat Hanh started some years ago. And the second set of mindfulness trainings have to do with loving speech, with paying attention, being mindful of what you're saying and what you're thinking and how you're acting and behaving. So these trainings are about reconciliation, the effort to make peace in your families and in society, wherever it needs to happen. The basic idea of the order is to help resolve conflict. And to resolve conflict, we need to transcend that conflict. We must have a non-dualistic viewpoint. In other words, recognizing the oneness, recognizing that I am you and you are me. And that we are all in this together. It's about hearing both sides of a situation, or all three sides like I mentioned last week, both sides of a situation to help get a better understanding of that conflict or that misunderstanding that took place. And the world needs people to do that. The world needs people to be more compassionate, more understanding, to listen, to really hear what others have to say. So the 9th mindfulness training is about this loving speech. It's about being aware that words can create suffering or happiness. It's up to you. It's a commitment to learn to speak truthfully and constructively, using words that inspire hope, using words that inspire confidence in others, holding fast to that determination not to say untruthful things. Not to say words that might cause division or hatred. They commit in this order to not spread news that they don't know for sure is true. Gee, what a concept, right? Nor do they criticize or condemn things of which they're not sure. In other words, being present, listening, letting it go. When we choose our words from a place of love, we create love, we create happiness, we create that trust, that peace within. It's critical for us to be careful of what we say and how we say it, because we are creating our life experiences. And I know you want to be careful, mindful with that. Speak constructively, not when you can, all the time. Speak constructively. Be selective with the words so as to not have a lot of misunderstanding if possible. But sometimes that happens, right? We say things and people take it, and I think Nathan had talked about that a few weeks ago in his, where I can say something to him and that word means something completely different, right? That happens. That absolutely happens. However, we just want to be mindful of our intention, because it is all about intention. The goal is to increase our understanding so we can gain that mutual respect, so we can gain that mutual acceptance of one another. Here's an example of a really intense misunderstanding. Pope Gregory the Great made a speech in 591 AD, and he identified Mary Magdalene as a prostitute. Do you know that this erroneous statement was not corrected until 1969, and the Vatican issued a very quiet retraction? So, since it originated from such an authoritative source, many people still believe that today. Isn't that amazing? Words are powerful, and you can't take them back once they come out and once they're heard. And that is a beautiful example of just that. The Buddhist tradition has a great way to lovingly move through the process of conflicts, of misunderstandings. And it's a 6-step process called the Circle of Peace. I've had the experience of going through this, which was really great for me. At first I was really offended that somebody thought I was being mean. And then I thought, wow, this gives me an opportunity to really understand this process. And I'll explain it to you in a second. Because it's interesting what people hear, what people see, when you have absolutely no intention. For instance, this person thought I was ignoring them at this event. And the truth is, I didn't know they were at the event. I never saw her. However, she took that as a kind of a slap in the face, quite frankly, and she was very angry and very upset with me. And I thought, oh, so this gave me the opportunity to really experience this process, which I know is really powerful. So the first thing they do is have this face-to-face gathering, and they gather mindfully, not angry, not frustrated, not I'm coming in to be right. Everyone comes in mindfully, and they come in without the desire to fight. The atmosphere of peace is already present because that's how people come into this. And then every party involved has the opportunity to say, okay, this is what I experienced, this is what I saw, this is how I felt. And the more details, the better, because you want to find out where that misunderstanding occurred. So, it is a requirement that both or all parties show that willingness for peace, that willingness for understanding. It's not about the outcome, because there's no right and wrong, a right and wrong way for this to take place, only that it take place harmoniously. And then they do what is called covering the mud with straw. The mud being the conflict, and the straw being that loving kindness. Somebody says something about the experience with the intention of creating a better understanding. And by using that loving speech and those kind words, each one says something to help dissipate those hurt feelings. Something to de-escalate that anger or the resistance. So then, here's the hardest part. Each person is going to reveal their own shortcomings surrounding that incident, that situation. In other words, owning their own stuff. What was my 50% in that? Was it how I responded? Was it how I just blew it off, right? We own our own stuff. We don't wait for someone else to call us on it. And then finally, each one agrees to develop that understanding in order to be able to love and to be able to live in harmony with all others in that situation. So, it's a great process when you have people willing to participate, because it does just kind of open everybody's heart up, as well as their mind and the way they're seeing things. And here's the truth. Peace can be achieved when we're not attached to a particular point of view. If we go into this process saying, if she does this and says that, I'll be fine. No, that's not going to happen. We don't want to be attached to the outcome. Unless it's one that's, peaceful and harmonious. The process itself is not about solving a particular problem. It's about living in love. It's about living with respect. It's about living in harmony with others. It's about speaking and listening from your heart, not your head, not your ego. This type of practice forces us to confront our own shortcomings rather than attack someone else's. Oh, personal responsibility again. Ha! So as we look at our own level of loving speech, we can ask ourselves, what is my spiritual state? Where am I with this? What's our overall state of heart and mind in the moment of our action or our words? Are we coming from love? Or are we coming from the place of needing our opinion and our way of seeing the world right? When our intentions are based in selfishness and hatred, or the desire to deceive or hurt, inevitably that impact is going to be negative. Negative not just for you, but for everybody that's around you. And the more we develop concern for others' well-being, the easier it becomes to act in the interest of others and to get out of our own ego. That need to be right, that need to be heard. One little piece of misinformation can break down communication between people. No doubt you've had that experience. And when that circle of peace is properly used, that misunderstanding is cleared up with no residue left over, providing all parties are indeed willing to participate in that process. And generally, that's all it is a misunderstanding between people who see life a little bit differently, who use words a little bit differently, who hear those and have different meanings, if you will, for those particular words. The truth is this: when you engage in loving speech, you feel good. You feel happy, you feel harmonious, you feel peaceful, knowing that you had a positive impact with your words and with your open heart. Edwin Friedman wrote this: communication does not depend on syntax or eloquence or rhetoric or articulation. It depends on the emotional context in which the message is being heard. Attitudes are the real figures of speech. Would you agree with that? I absolutely do. So that said, my invitation this week is for you to use your words mindfully. Use them from that place of loving kindness. Through your words, you have the opportunity to offer joy, peace, trust, hope, and unconditional love. And I would invite you to do so. Thank you for being here while I shared this truth as I understand it.